here, first of all. I know week 8, we got finals and everything coming up, but my goal today is that through this talk, I inspire you guys at least with one thing. I promise in this talk that you'll at least get one thing that you'll walk away with that's like, it was worth being here today. But not that any other day is not worth being here, because it's always worth being here, right, Paul? That was good. So my talk is overcoming your own worst enemy. So everybody knows who's your own worst enemy, as in yourself, right? A lot of people like to blame other people for things, but really your own worst enemy is yourself. You hold yourself back from so much in your life. You are capable of doing so much more. And this inspiration was brought on to me by this past weekend where I just came back from Florida. I went to a self-development / leadership camp. And over there, I had coaches just drilling me. And the beautiful thing was that it was only 6 of us students there and 55 doctors there. So all these doctors in the field, you've had people from 10 years plus, 5 to 10 years, 1 to 5 years, all in there, still working with things that are keeping them from being successful. So for me, myself, to learn all these things right now at such a lower level is great. So that way when I get up into practice, I can actually use some of the skills and stuff that I'm developing now, and I don't have to suffer through it later on. So what I'm going to be talking about is just some of the tips and tricks that my coaches were teaching me, and hopefully I can shine off a little bit on you guys. So first thing that we learned over there was, number 1 is you have to find out who you are. Find out who you are as yourself, as a person, because it will allow you, once you find out who you are as a person, it'll allow you to dictate how people should respond to you, and also find out who other people are as well. Who's heard of the DISC profile? Anybody heard of the DISC profile before? So I urge every single one of you guys to go on and take it. There's ones where you can pay for that are a little bit more expensive, but there's also free versions on there as well. So the DISC profile is just a set of questionnaires, and it kind of allows you to see what kind of personality type you are. So there's a DISC, D-I-S-C. So D is a driver. He's dominant. That's that person who's the entrepreneur who's a go-getter. They're that person that goes in, gets what they want, and is very direct about things. That's a D. And I is an influencer. So personality type I is an influencer. They're that party boy kind of thing. They worry. They don't worry, but their status matters. People they like to see what other people think about them. They like to influence people with their energy, and they're also one of those people who are So they're the people who like to be influenced. Then there's S, which is supportive. Supportive is one of those people who are not about being that person who's a driver dominant. They're more about just being that supportive person and supporting the team and things. And then there's a C. That C is that analyzer. They like to be behind the scenes. They like to analyze everything. So that's that person who you say, hey, we're going on a trip. There's that person like me. I'm like, okay, cool, where are we going? Where do I meet you? Let's go. And then there's that one person who's like, wait, where are we going? What do I need to bring? Do I need to bring shorts? Do I need to bring pants? What time are we meeting? That's the C. That person who analyzes everything. So the reason that's important, and I urge every one of you when you get into practice, to make sure your whole team takes that profile. Because you don't want to have someone who's a driver being your front desk person. As in that person is driving, they want to do something, they want to get things done. That's not the best person to have as your front desk person having patients come in. You want that I to be there. You want that influencer. You want that person who's a little bit more calm to be there. You don't want your analyzer to be the person doing your marketing. You want your analyzer to be the person doing your finances. That person who's very organized, that person who's like, you know what, I need every detail correct, so that way you know exactly what's going on. So that's the first step, is just knowing who you are, finding out who you are as yourself, and then finding out who your team is as well. Number 2. Coachability. That's right. Coachability is that you got to be coachable as a person. As a person, when you're in school, now's the best time to be coachable and learn from not other people's mistakes, but what other people have done to be successful. So coachability allows you to find out what your faults are right now. So there's 5 stages of coachability. I'm going to give you a very kind of raw example of just how coachability works. So let's say you have a father and a son. Let's just say the son drops a glass of milk on the floor. So the father, this is the way he's been growing up and stuff, is like, dude, son, what the hell are you doing? Can you not hold a piece of glass right? Why are you always spilling things? What are you doing? Go to your room. So that's his awareness. That's how he is. So coachability, just in a sense, is like, okay, you have a coach there to kind of bring you awareness. That's step number one, awareness. So you're aware of your mistakes. So like, coach, like, you know what? You don't have to be so harsh on them. Just kind of do it this way. Just kind of, be easy on him. So step one is awareness. So then the next time he does it, step two is you don't just change right away. People have habits. They don't change overnight. So step number two is that you mess it up again. As in your son drops something again, you're like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Why do you keep dropping things? Go to your room. After you go to the room, you're aware of it. You're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. You know what? So you're a little bit better because you're at least aware of it, but you still did your old habit. Step number three is during. So during the process, you catch up. So you're like, son drops the glass again. So what are you doing? Why aren't you over? Wait, you know what? It's actually okay. This is an easy cleanup step. We'll just clean it up right now. That's step number three, which is awareness. Number four is before. So as in now, after you're coaching, you realize your mistakes. And this goes for everything. You can do this with adjusting. You can do this, all this. I'm just doing a raw example. The next one is before. So right when your son drops the glass in your head, you're like, about to say something, then you're like, wait, you know what? That's okay. That's good. This is an easy cleanup. We'll get this done. And then finally through that process, step number five, which is you change your habit. You change your habit, you're a new person. You would have never developed any of these if you weren't coached in the first place or just taught that, you know what? There's another way to do this. So this could be through patience, this could be through any of these things. Third thing I learned, which this one I'll spend a little bit more time on over here, is the cycle of life. This is the cycle of life. Life is determined by this simple little picture right here. Everything you start out with in life, whether that be a relationship, whether that be coming to school for the first time, it's easy at first. It's downhill. As in things are going smooth, you guys are so happy in this relationship, or possibly when you first get to school, you're so happy, you're fired up about chiropractic, and then things start to go what's called a stagnant phase, where things start to plateau. You're like, you haven't found something new, you guys are still just now going through the routines, and then all of a sudden, there's always going to be challenges in life that come up. Now you always have to deal with these challenges, and things get hard in the relationship. Or things get hard in school. You're starting to have all these exams. You're not having time to do no adjusting or anything like that. And what happens with most people is that they don't like to work hard. When it comes to this point over here, they start quitting. They start going backwards. They're like, you know what? This is just too hard. This is just, I don't want to work on this. I don't want to work on myself. I just want to quit right over here. But here's the most important part. Because if you get past this point right over here, and you work hard, and you realize that if you get past that point, guess what? At the top, there's another dip. It gets easier again. But most people don't realize that because they stop right over here. And how do you realize, how do you get past this point is really what I want to talk about today. Was that how do you get past yourself? How do you get past your own self and get past that point right over there? Now that happens with people. You got to gain leverage, and you got to get mental toughness. So, mental toughness is what you really need to gain. You need to gain that mental toughness and realize that you created this. As in every single choice you have in your life is up to you. It's your choice. So the first step in mental toughness is take 100% responsibility for your actions. Every single choice you have in your life is your fault, and it's up to you. So whether good things happen or bad things happen, it's your fault. If you fail a class, it's your fault. Don't blame your teachers. Don't blame that you didn't have time to study. It's your fault. If you're not good at adjusting, blame yourself. It's your fault. You didn't put in the work to start doing adjusting practice. So that's the first thing, 100% awareness. And I guarantee you, if you take that to heart and you realize that, your life will change. Because then you realize that if it's my fault that this happened, then it's only my fault, my own actions that are going to make it better. You don't even look for someone on the outside to tell you that you can do better. You'll realize it yourself. Number two, do the uncomfortable. You guys, do the uncomfortable. I promise you, do the uncomfortable and you'll get over it quick. Right now we're in this stage where we worry so much about what people think, and you don't go out there and tell the story, and you don't want to go out there and screen. For me personally, it was screening. Screening is uncomfortable. When you first started screening, I was so uncomfortable, as in, oh, what's this person thinking about me? Or do I really want to talk to this person? But once you start doing it more, you realize, who's heard of the 18-40-60 rule before? 18-40-60 rule. So It's cool, it's true too. From 18 to 40 years old, you worry about what everybody thinks about you. You're sitting there and you're like, oh, what's this person thinking about me? What's this person thinking about me? From 40 to 60, you start realizing that, you know what, maybe these people weren't really thinking about me that much. And then when you're 60 years old and you finally gain wisdom, and now it's so far later, you realize that none of these people were thinking about you at all. So when you're sitting there and you're afraid of talking to that person or screaming at that person because you're afraid of what they think about you, you gotta realize something, you guys, is that that person, while you're sitting there afraid about what they're thinking about you, that person is afraid about what you're thinking about them. So they're thinking about what you're thinking about them, that both of you guys are afraid about what you guys are thinking about. So one of you guys might as well tell the truth, okay? One of you might as well tell the truth, because that same person across from you is also afraid about what you're thinking about. So do the uncomfortable, you guys. And last but not least, I promise you, this one's the most important one. Believe it's possible. It's the most important one, that's going to look. Believe it's possible, you guys. There's a 4-letter word I want every single one of you guys to drop today. And this 4-letter word is the most detrimental word you'll ever come out of your life. And if your children adopt this, then it'll be the most detrimental word that will ever come out of their life. And it's can't. Get that 4-letter word out of your head. Can't. I can't. If you say those to yourselves, you're doomed. If you say, I can't, then your life is done. If your kids say, you can't, who cares about words like shit? And I don't even want to say the next 4-letter word, but that word is the worst. 63-year-old Laura Schultz. 63-year-old Laura Schultz was watching her grandson one day, and he was playing with the parking brake outside in the car, and he accidentally released it. She heard screams coming from outside, and she runs outside, and this 2,000-pound car is on top of her son's arm. In that moment, she didn't think. She ran over, lifted that car up, and people dragged their son's arm out of that car. Unbelievable. 63 years old. She's a flail little woman as well. She's not a big woman. So they asked her. They wanted to do an interview with her, but for weeks, she did not interview anybody. And then finally, a few weeks later, they went up to her and they finally got an interview with her. They're like, wait, why were you not doing any interviews about this? This is amazing. And she goes, I'm 63 years old. And for 63 years, I've never lifted more than a 50-pound bag of dog food off the floor. And I lifted that 2,000-pound car off my grandson's arm. What other power inside of me have I been wasting? What else have I not accomplished in my lifetime? So you guys, believe anything is possible. And go out there and do it. And I promise you guys, if you guys do those trips, don't worry about what people think. Get over yourself. Do the uncomfortable. Believe it's possible. You guys can do anything. Thank you very much, guys.